Yeah, but three
You know what I mean?
that's good. But we know a lot of people, especially in this country, race sales. That's just a big
It's
business.
a hot topic subject.
But
But
I disagree with the fact that a lot of, like you said, like African Americans, they like NBA, so they don't watch boxing. I think you can do both, man. I mean, it's not like boxing is on every, like as shown as much as in the NBA. I mean, I think you can make some room to watch a boxing fight and watch a fighter that you support. Like, Andre Ward, nobody shows up to his fights. Like, come on, man.
No, but what I'm saying is the NBA is more a part of the culture. When you look, the kids is programmed by the music.
Right, they spend money on NBA merchandise, shit like that.
Yeah.
They don't spend it on boxing merchandise and go to the fights.
no, he's 100% right. They're geared toward. You're right. They're gearing it towards their targeted audience.
And look at Davis. He's always with the rappers, so he has a bigger profile and bigger following online because he's always with the Drakes. He's always, every time you see him, he's with a different rapper, and the rappers run the culture on what's popular. Anytime, even in elections, you see him trying to put the rappers behind these different politicians because the rap music is running the culture. That is popular culture around the world. They can push anything and make it sell. And boxing, it's coming back now, slowly but surely. But I'm saying for years and years. And what has the most momentum is the NBA right now. And it's not a part of boxing. It isn't as big in the culture as it was back in the day when you had all of the elite athletes going to boxing. But now that all the elite athletes, I don't have to get beat up and I can go get a bigger payday. There's guaranteed money all the time. Come on, you going to the NBA.
Right, so that's not racism. That's basically choice. But
it's racism in boxing. It's racism in boxing. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, I would say it's on all, maybe on, if it is, it's got to be on all sides then.
Yeah, exactly.
No, definitely on all sides. Yeah.
Why would I watch a sport? Why would white people watch NBA and stuff? No, come on, man. There's a lot of white people that watch the NBA also.
If you telling me,
but it's no choice. There are no real white superstars, so you have no choice but to pick a black star that you like. There are no white superstars. Period. So you have to choose a black star that you like. It's no choice.
I don't have to choose. Nobody has to choose anything. That's where he's wrong. You're wrong. Nobody's putting a gun to my head.
You know what I'm
saying? But Trap, I'm sorry, but by that logic, Trap, what about the years when there was all years and there was no white people in there? Why were all those white guys going to the fucking fights and supporting it?
What you talking about?
Nobody in America.
There was no white. In the 1980s, I'm sorry about cutting you off, but during the 1980s and 90s, when I spent house payments on fucking going all over the country, going to see two black men fight, there was no white superstars.
This is what I'm saying. It's the same thing as the NBA. When there is no choice, you will choose someone. The best black athlete. If it's all black athletes, you will choose. But
we're choosing the best. So at the end of the day, we're choosing the best. And if the best is white, so
that's all ideology. None of that is backed by any sort of fact. Hold on.
It is because I've lived it.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's all ideology. None of that is based in fact.
There's no facts.
Let me give you one example. Hold on. Let me give you one example. When Sugar Ray Leonard was ruling the roost, Marvin Hagler, Muhammad Ali, we could go on and on and on and on. None of these white Americans were saying we need to bring some of these Russians over. We need to bring some of these Olympic gold medalists that are whooping our boys in the Olympics. Because we need someone that looks like us to rule the roost. Nobody said that
about the NBA right now, bro. What are you talking about? That's
we're talking boxing.
I'm talking about boxing, bro. I don't know anything about basketball. I'm talking about boxing.
You don't have to know anything about it, but it's the same point. There are only black superstars right now. They're not saying, "Oh my God, man, we got to go get some more."
Because the sport was designed for black people. I mean, come on, man.
It was made by white people.
What about
you can't say that.
What about when Marvin Hagler fought white guys and he did?
No, but this is what I'm saying. Stop talking about old about. We talking about right now. I'm not in the OA. I'm not an old man, so I can't tell you. All right.
Well, listen. Well, thanks for the fucking insult. First off,
it's not an insult.
Second, it is an insult. What you're calling the old days is knowledge too. I lived it. I was there. I'm just saying this because I'm countering your point. I'm countering your point. I'm saying when Marvin Hagler fought white guys, and he did, you think any of my boys fucking changed and said, well, we should kind of go for the white guy? We were screaming, take that motherfucker's head off. Look, you know what I'm saying? So listen, all I know is I go for the guys I like. I don't care. And if they're good people, like I like Spence. I like everything about that kid. I like how he carries himself. I think that kid is going to be a fucking superstar if he's promoted right, because I do. I think he has everything. He has the fan-friendly style. You know what I mean? Everything. I think that kid has everything it takes. And I just, you know what I mean? You make valid points, and you're very intelligent. You're a very intelligent kid. I'm saying you're a very intelligent kid. You make very good points, and some of your points are dead on, and I agree with them too. And of course, there's racism, and it is what it is. But amongst boxing, and especially amongst hardcore fans, dude, I don't think any of us give a fuck. And if we do, then shame on us. Anybody who cares about skin color.
Hold on. I want to let Trap respond. I want to let Trap say one last thing about that, and then we got to move on from this specific subject of race, because I want to move it to another racial subject, because I know where this is going, this whole discussion. It's Trap, would you agree that it's hard? You're saying that you've lived it. Could you give us some specific examples of how you've exactly
this is how I finish. I finish it like this. It's not specific necessarily all the way racist thing to root for someone that looks like you or is from the same street as you. That's just a natural instinct. I'll say that race does play a part in it. I think more fans should be like 3-Piece and just root for people because they're great. But there is still an aspect of the population that will root for someone out of a racist, type ideology. But it's not right. We're moving forward towards the future. I think change is eventually going to come down the line in the future. I think that mentality needs to die. And, I just support people coming together. I'm not really for pushing that type thing, but it does exist. I'm not.
I want to say something about that. I want to say something.
Let me say something.
Please. I haven't spoken in a while. Let me just precise. I'll let you go next. All right, but let me just say one thing. If you're living in that with that mentality, it's the same thing as thinking that every time you step out of your door, you're gonna get robbed. I mean, yes, there is racism, but I don't think it's as prevalent. Look at everybody here. It's a fucking mishmash of races and ethnicity. So, and we all get along just fine. I think that whole racism card is overplayed.
I've been locked in stores for in a dollar store, being accused of stealing some headphones. There was $1 that I didn't, just because of my color. Like,
who's gonna steal headphones from the dollar store? Those things.
Excuse me, guys. Look, let me give you an aspect from
I said precise. Sorry, boxing.
Just listen real
boxing.
quick.
All right, and after that, precise has to. Go ahead, boxing.
Jail, all right. Check this out. You've been to jail, you'll realize that blacks get higher bonds than white boys. All right, it's a fucking fact, man. If you're black, you get a higher bail.
And you're gonna get profiled earlier too.
But we're talking boxing. Okay. I don't know. What do we went from boxing to fucking awesome, man?
When you say boxing is racist, to me that sounds like it's a systemic problem. Now, I do agree with you that people root for certain fighters based on their skin color. No doubt about it, especially black people. Now,
absolutely.
Now, look. If you're talking about boxing being racist, you got to give me examples of systemic racism in boxing, like black fighters not getting their just due. I'll give you one example, and I'm not saying it's racism. I think it's hold on. Let me finish, bro. I'm not saying this is racism because I believe it's nationalism and they're related. When Andre Ward blatantly low-blowed Sergey Kovalev, not just in the first fight, but definitely in the second fight. He committed every single goddamn foul in the book. That was overlooked by everybody. Hold on, I'm not done. Now, when Triple G hit Marty Rosian a little, like a split second after he touched the canvas, oh my God, all fucking hell broke loose. Give me a break, man. Where was all this, outrage when Andre Ward blatantly low-blowed Sergey Kovalev?
Did I not? I swear, I don't know where everybody else outrage was, but I said that fight shouldn't have been stopped there early. But Triple G should have been disqualified like Roy Jones was. But as far as racism,
it wasn't even this.
You can look at Lomachenko and Terrence Crawford. Fair these situations.
Nope.
Lomachenko was put on ESPN for the whole world to see. And Terrence Crawford has put in more work in boxing, but he's on ESPN Plus. Why is that? We know why.
Because people like Lomachenko more than you do Terrence Crawford.
No, because he's white. If he was black, he would not be on there that early.
And you know this for a fact. You know, Trap, you know this for a fact, right?
Yeah,
no, it's his opinion. It's your opinion, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to get to. You know this as a fact, like somebody took somebody.
Man, we know what's going on. We're not gonna do that.
We don't. No, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't put that on us. You think that's what's going on.
13 fights in the loss. This guy's putting much more work.
Arum gives a fuck. You know what color Arum cares about?
Green. Money.
That's the only color
when you look at Guillermo, Guillermo Rigondeaux, look, bro, Guillermo Rigondeaux was the same story as Lomachenko. He was promoted the fuck off, put on Manny Pacquiao undercards, and he failed to deliver in the fights. He didn't take any risks. He looked like shit. People booed. People hated his style. They didn't like how he fought. But Arum gave him the platform, and he didn't take advantage of it. Arum gave Lomachenko the platform. He got robbed over there in Texas. He got fucked over, and he kept trying. He kept coming back. He kept fighting the best available opposition, and he kept putting on the show. And he got to the point where he's at on his own fucking merits. Point blank period. Has nothing to do with. Obviously, people respond to him.
C-level Salido. If he wasn't a white boy, he wouldn't even be considered for pound.
How do you know that? How do you know that, though? Like you're throwing out. But hold on. Please. Hold on. Listen. This whole full discussion. It's anybody can make statements. I can. Let's go second Renaissance and say the Earth is flat. And then people say, no, it's not. And I can say, whoa, we're not going to go there. Well, of course we have to go there. I mean, we can't just throw out any type of statement and just pretend it's true.
Hey,
by the way, but hold on.
Puerto Ricans don't make it to the NBA
please.
because the NBA is racist towards Puerto Ricans.
All right, but hold on. One thing. Hold on. Let me just say something here. Please, let me say something. Please.
That's cool for you to say, right? That's cool for you to say.
Shit.
Right? What about black fighters that are boring? Wait, hold on. What about those African Americans that are boring as fuck? And they're boring and they don't attract any fans. They're boring.
That's racism.
They're fucking boring. Spence is gonna make it. Spence can make it. Spence because he's exciting to watch. Spence has a lot of skill. He's not about. Yeah, Wilder, absolutely. But he's not. Who's promoting this fucker? Who's promoting him? You know, who's promoting him? This guy who's not even interested in boxing, man. That's why he's not a superstar because he's not promoted like Anthony Joshua is. Look at Anthony Joshua, how big of a star he is. Oh, now you're going to say it's because it's the UK. There we go. No. It's promotion. He's being promoted by fucking Al Heyman and Ludi Bell.
All they fighters.
No. They're not well promoted. Al Heyman is a fucking Ponzi scheme. It's a piece of shit. They haven't created any fucking superstars because they're not into the boxing business, man. They're into something else. They're into some shitty fucking stuff, man. Stop bringing the racial shit here. That's not the problem.
Heyman cares.
Promotional.
Heyman cares nothing about boxing. We see that. Please let me finish because I've sat here silent. I've listened to you and I've not had a word in. Please let me finish. Heyman spent $500 million on garbage. The guy never cared for boxing, never wanted it to do well. Just wanted to take what money he could out of this deal and run off into the sunset. So let's not pretend here that Heyman's all about boxing because he's not. These fighters, Tank Davis is a special talent. If he got with Eddie Hearn, watch that guy become a superstar. These young American fighters have got trash promoters, and anyone that can't see that is clueless.
All right.
I mean, Rock Nation.
All right. Butcher brought up.
Be the biggest in the world. But, Al Heyman, a great promoter. Tank, excited.
No, he's not. Wait. He's a great promoter. How is he a great promoter?
Charlo's exciting fighter.
How is he a great promoter?
Hold on. Please.
He's not even a promoter. Let's be honest.
We can't just. Everybody's talking over each other, guys. This fucking subject.
Busho's 100% right. Let's fuck our opinions. Let's state facts. Al Heyman's been in the business 20 years. Other than being Floyd's attorney after Arum got him to pay-per-view, what has he done? He's handled over 200 fucking fighters. He had $1 billion. He had all the air slots. He had everything. And he failed miserably because he fucking took fighters and put them in the wrong geographical locations. He doesn't have a feel for the sport. And I'll shut up after this, name the one fighter he's taken in the 20 years that he's had everything, 20 years been in the game, that he's taken from prospect to pay-per-view status. Where is it?
0.
Hold on. Let Trap respond. Trap?
Listen, I already told you, on these subjects, we're going to agree to this.
Okay, well, come on now. Hold on. We got to see.
Give me an answer. How many fighters has he taken from prospect in the 20 years, in the $1 billion, in the 267 fighters? How many fighters has he taken from paper? He hasn't.
You got it.
Every other fucking promoter in the business has. But there you go. Now you shut me down. You got it. There you go. Good comeback.
How many?
We can agree to disagree on Heyman.
But you're not giving me an agree. You're not giving an opinion. You're going, yeah. You're shining me off like what you have to say.
I had squashed this a long time ago. I was trying to move on to a different.
But hold on, Trap.
How many? Look, Jimmy, calm down, bro.
Yeah.
How many potentially great American fighters did Al Heyman ruin? How many?
Listen, y'all got it on. We'll leave this alone. I'm not about to keep going in circles.
Okay, but hold on. I want to hold on. Please, let me fucking get in. Hey, motherfuckers, I want to get in. Please, let me get a word in here. Please, let me get a word in here. Please.
You can make a case for Gary Russell Jr.
Please,
there was this another guy. They were all put in too early. They weren't prepared properly. They were put in too early, way in over their head.
All right, I get it. We get it. Listen.
Ruined. Hold on, precise.
Sucks,
man. Come on, bro.
Sorry to do this. Hold on, please.
Fuck, how is he great?
Hey, motherfuckers, can anybody hear me? 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 What the fuck did you motherfuckers talk? Hey, everybody's getting out of hand here. What the fuck's going on?
Please. 14 times on HBO for
you gotta let me talk here.
Ever met him.
You gotta let me talk. You gotta let me talk.
No, you can't give him Mayweather.
You gotta let me talk.
I don't know what Heyman got to get.
Okay, Jesus. You know how many other lawyers? You know how many other lawyers got a check for it too? You know,
listen, guys. Everybody, please. Can anybody hear me, or is it just hold on? What the fuck's going on here?
Wants to say something.
Yeah, you motherfuckers are getting out of hand. You motherfuckers, fucking pieces of shit. You're getting out of hand. Please, this fucking subject. I swear to God, I don't even know why we got into this. Trap. You can't just
BDA,
throw.
Can I say something? BDA.
What?
BDA.
Yeah.
Can Trap just answer these questions though?
He doesn't want to because he can't. That's what the feeling I'm getting here.
We're gonna agree to disagree. Let's move on. Like, come on. We were talking about this subject for like 30 or maybe even an hour.
Go in a circle. There's no point. Let's just move
on.
No,
I want you to defend defend Al Heyman, man. Just tell us, besides Floyd Mayweather, who, we kind of disagree that Al Heyman was behind the whole thing.
You can't say besides
is there anybody?
He has the highest grossing ever in boxing. We're not gonna do that.
He has like around 200 fighters in his stable, if I'm not mistaken, or a lot of fighters. So is there one of those fighters out of those 200 that he actually turned into a superstar? Please answer this question.
Listen, Spence will be. He's on the way.
All right, sorry about that. Sorry, hold on. Somebody just, Kyle just...
Yes, after releasing Aaron. After he released Heyman, he signs with somebody else.
Kyle, just... Please let me fucking talk. Please let me fucking talk. Jimmy, please, I gotta say something here. I gotta establish some order. Can anybody hear me, by the way? What the fuck is going on? Hey, motherfuckers, can you hear me? Can you hear me, motherfuckers? I'm gonna fucking shut this shit down. How do I shut this shit down? Can anybody hear me? Please. We need some fucking order. Yeah, Butcher, help me out here, because nobody's fucking paying attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. We guys can't hear you, but okay, go ahead.
What do you mean you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah, but when we talked about this. When you speak, we can't hear you. Hold on, Cameron. Okay, yeah. BDA. So when you talk, we can't hear you properly. I don't know why. So that's why I have to step in and on your behalf.
Do it for me, please. If nobody can hear me, then you gotta step in, man. You can't just be muting all the time. All right? Now that's number one. Number two. No, it's okay. No, I'm getting a little worked up because everybody's talking over each other. This whole thing. Bucho asked a great question. Now, Trap, if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. You're pleading the fifth, but what does the fifth mean? It means you don't have an answer because they just got you with a good question. Now, I do agree that this subject is getting stale. All right? It's getting stale. But this whole thing, I'll just say this, and I've said it before, boxing is a business. All right? It's a business. It's about who makes the most money. Is it fair that a guy like Rigondeaux, for example, couldn't get on TV anywhere? I guess it's unfair because he was a skilled guy. On the other hand, he said it himself. He doesn't want to fight in a more entertaining fashion because he could get hurt and then who's going to take care of him? Fine. But you got to show people a little something. Life's not fair? Fine. Is it unfair? But it's a business. All right. Terence Crawford, he's fought a bunch of times. Then he got, a little bit of a layoff. Who's more entertaining to watch? Who do you think the average Joe who doesn't know about boxing prefers to watch? Lomachenko or Terence Crawford? And that goes for a seasoned boxing fan as well. Who's more impressive and fun to watch? I like Terence Crawford. He's not boring. He's not just running around the ring every fight. He does come to fight and he stops. He's been in a 4-fight KO streak or something like that. So that's good. But you look at Lomachenko, we haven't seen anybody like Lomachenko in a long time. Do some people prefer Lomachenko because he's white over Terence Crawford? I'm pretty sure there are people. And I'm pretty sure there are people out there that prefer Terence Crawford and they support him because he's black and Lomachenko is white. Now, you look at the same thing with Joshua and Wilder. All of a sudden, there's Wilder fans a lot of them happen to be black. They're not rooting for Joshua. Why? Because, again, people keep it tribalistic. And not everybody does it, but there is a certain subset of the population out there that keeps it that way. And if you're thinking that way all the time, you're going to project that onto other people, which is unfair because not everybody, like Jimmy said, he watches boxing. We all watch boxing here. We don't root for one guy because, I'm Mexican. I don't like Canelo. Said it a million times before. I like his style. He's entertaining, but personally, I don't like him. So most of the time, I'm confessing here, I'll root against the guy. Especially after the whole fucking clenbuterol thing. So
honestly, I think they're both Lomachenko and Crawford. Sorry guys, I dropped off from my to come back on, but yeah, I thought Lomachenko. I like both the guys. You know what I mean? I'm not big for. I've not got no agendas towards any fighters. You know what I'm saying? I think they're both exciting to watch, man.
All right, well that's good to hear. But here's what I'm saying.
I'll say this. I just want to say one thing. And this is my opinion. This is why I say, in my opinion, from my experience, black people are the most racist people I've ever met. Period. African American.
All right. Well,
me too.
Again.
Me too. Just my experience.
Yeah.
Me too.
All right. So, but again, why do we have to get? First of all, let's say in theory, which is not, by the way, but let's say in theory, everybody's racist, right? Let's say everybody's racist. All right. So, can we? Is that affecting the show? Is that affecting fights getting made in a huge way? No. So why don't we just enjoy boxing, watch it? And again, it's not happening. There is no. You can maybe. Hey, listen. I feel sorry for Trap.
This is the fairest. Hey, sorry, BD. I was just going to say this is the fairest hangout on YouTube. We don't pick fighters because of the color of their skin. We say it straight down the middle, and you won't get a fairer hangout than the BD.
Most of us picked Jesse Vargas, but we thought Bronner whooped his ass.
Exactly. Yeah. And people were giving me shit for that in the chat room. Some people, not everybody, but you know. And again, we call it the way we see it. I mean, and again, I'm sorry, Trap, if that's ever happened to you, that people trap you. First of all, what the fuck? Who's gonna steal earphones from a dollar store? Those things break down after a week.
That was my point, bro. They locked me.
Hold on, Cameron.
Someone's got music on their background, man, like Rooster music going on or something.
Yeah, that was my point. They locked me in the store for some dollar headphones. I had to pull out.
See what I mean? Who's playing that music, man?
Nobody's playing. I don't hear music.
No,
anybody
it's
else hear music?
Because there's roosters there.
I don't know what music he's talking about. I don't hear nothing.
Rooster's about to go to his rooster fighting ring, and
I didn't know precise at roosters, man. That's why I was. What the fuck's that noise?
All right, so sorry, Trap. So you're saying they trapped you in a dollar store because they thought you stole earphones, right? Trap, are you there? All right, he's probably on his earphones right now. The ones he stole from the dollar store. But listen, this whole
can I interrupt? Can I interrupt?
Yeah, you go ahead because you haven't talked in a while.
I didn't know that. Look, I've heard certain people in this hangout spoke about the most racist minority was African American, right? And I just didn't know that I sit here with so many racists. I mean, to say that African Americans people are the most racist is a racist statement in itself. So, I mean, I don't know, y'all, how you can say that.
I think somebody's being sarcastic here. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here.
I said it, and what I mean is that's my personal opinion, my personal experience. African Americans are the most racist.
Well, the U.S. is fucked up. Let's be honest. The U.S.
I got fucked up every day walking home from school in East Baltimore. Why were they doing it? Because I was the only motherfucking white boy within a fucking 20-mile radius. That's just my experience.
All right.
You know how many black security guards have followed me around stores? You know how many black cops have given me shit for nothing? I mean, Look, man, it's everywhere. And look, Trap has a point. Like, people root. We all know this. It's obvious. But I don't think it affects, like BDA was saying, the fights. I don't think it affects how fights are judged or scored. It doesn't really affect who's popular or who isn't. America has shown that they get behind all colors of fighters. It all depends on how fucking entertaining you are. People don't watch boxing because they got some kind of racist agenda. They watch boxing because they want to see good fucking fights. Yeah, is Lomachenko getting some love from Ukrainians and maybe some white people who haven't seen a good white fighter in a long time? Yeah, but the same shit happens with black people. As long as you keep it real and you're being honest and you're not being a dick shit, a piece of shit about it, like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Have some standards, be fair, and then you can root for whoever the fuck you want to root for whatever reason you want, as long as you're not a liar or a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you enjoy boxing. You enjoy boxing a lot more when it's not about race, because you can just enjoy the fights without thinking, "Oh, please, white man, win today, please." It's not about that. You know what I mean? So just forget about the pick a fight. When Anthony Joshua fought Klitschko, I was screaming for Anthony Joshua to win that fight. I wasn't thinking, "Oh, please, Klitschko, you the great white knight in shining armor, please knock out the black guy." It just didn't cross my mind.
So, while they're here,
you know, it just
Yeah. And look, if white people were so racist, when it came to boxing, they would have stopped watching the sport back in the fucking 40s. Give me a break.
That's a good point.
Bunch of racists in this hangout. I mean, except Recognized, because he's black, so he can't be racist.
Hey, come on, man! I've not said anything, man.
Hey, by the way, since we're on the subject of racism, who you know, if Trump were to go, where would he experience more racism? China or the United States? I'm just curious.
United States.
Japan, man.
Trap would suffer more danger in the United States any day. He knows it, and he knows what they look like too.
Ecuadorians are some of the most racist people I've ever met, man.
But their whole football, I don't understand, because their whole football team looks like it, you know.
But it's not like, it's not malicious. It's not. They're just ignorant, and they're racist, and
that's everywhere in Latin America, man. Like they worship you. Like, if the more white you are, the more like, oh, you know, like they respect you more and stuff like that. That's Latin.
Can I ask a question? I'm not the one who, I didn't say it because I didn't have that many black people where I lived that have, you know, the ability to be racist towards me. I guess there's a lot more, you know, Irish and Italians and whatnot. But so I didn't answer, but, you know, everybody said, because somebody asked, who do they find or whatever, somebody said the most racist people that I've met. So you can't call somebody, if somebody is, that's their opinion. They're just stating, listen, this is how I've been treated by different groups of people, and how I've been treated is this. You can't call them a racist for telling you how they feel. You know what I mean? If that's the experience, you can't call them a racist for, no, not you. Somebody else came on and said, for saying that you're a racist. How can you call somebody a racist for telling you their perceptions or how they've been treated? That's all I'm saying. I just found that odd.
That was a bit of a joke as well.
That's from a modern aspect. I'm not talking about historically who's been the most racist.
Listen, at the end of the day, we're all going to merge with machines one day, as we talked about in Second Renaissance. So it's all going to be irrelevant. It's all going to be irrelevant.
We will be one race.
Exactly. Transhumanism.
Yeah.
All right, but by the way, hold on. Trap Media is now saying...
I've been called racist that many times.
Okay, but now Trap Media is saying that we're deflecting some of the subject because he never called us... All right, but Trap Media, come on. Are you saying you can't refuse to answer the question and then say that we're the ones deflecting? You're the one that refused to answer the question that Bucho asked you and that Precise asked you about Al Heyman. Now you're making it out to be as if we're the ones deflecting and playing Jedi mind tricks here?
We're just sick and tired of fighters not being given credit.
All right, he's
racism.
He's not gonna answer any more questions. I think he's just there now listening.
I agree with what Pizarro said.
Me too. But anyway, listen.
I just wanted the Al Heyman question answered. That's pretty much it.
He's not gonna answer. He's in the chat room now saying that we're the ones that are deflecting, which I think it's a shame because I thought we could. This conversation had potential, but as it often happens with race discussions, it all goes down the toilet. And it's always because of one person. Sorry, Trap. That's all I'm gonna say, man. You brought up the fucking subject, man. You brought up the fucking subject.
Come on, BD. You know it. We all know it. We're all liars in here. You know what I mean? We all know what the truth is. Right. Come on.
Yeah, I know, man. Hey, we tried.
Didn't I say it's not? Listen, let's put opinion aside. Let's just talk about achievement.
I'm sure all of
actual achievement. That's all. That's all I said.
No, Trap, you can't talk. Trap.
Let's discuss achievement.
Trap, you can't say anything anymore because you refuse to answer questions, and then you go on the chat room, and so. I mean, what do you want me to do? You don't want to answer the questions, then you go on the chat room and you start saying we're the ones deflecting. So no, I don't think. Why should we let you talk anymore, man?
Nobody to like Al Heyman. You know, if y'all don't like him, that's cool.
That wasn't the question. See who's deflecting now. That wasn't the question.
Counter argument.
No, this has nothing to do with liking or disliking the guy.
No, but I think he does a good job. You don't have to, and that's cool.
Based on what? Okay. What's your criteria for saying that Al Heyman, from a business perspective, how has he done a good job?
I think he's doing a good job with Spence. I think he's doing a good job with the Charlos. I think he's doing a good job with Tank. As Tank just shouted him out last night, he loves the job Al Heyman's doing for him. I think he did a great job with Floyd towards the end of his career.
Mm-hmm. And now, when it comes
can I just get in there quickly? Can I just get in there? Right, you said he's did a good job with Tank. He's got a superstar there in the making. He makes him go to England to fight some bum in front of 2,000 people, right?
Yeah, you know, this profile. He still got the fight.
You talk about Errol Spence. You talk about Errol Spence, right? He's done a great job with Errol Spence. Let's be real. He sent Errol Spence into the lion's den. It's only that Errol Spence is a very good fighter and a warrior, and he's scared of no man. Is why he went there and did the job. But when you're building up a fighter, you don't send him to England to fight a world-class fighter. You just don't do it. You build the fighters up. There's a talent to building a fighter up. Al Heyman doesn't have it. Eddie Hearn has it.
That would be your strategy, but his strategy worked, and it did well for both of them.
But that's the point, though. How does it work? Because he hasn't brought anybody to pay-per-view stat. He hasn't brought anybody to that. And anybody anybody who's been on the time,
how much time do you need?
Spence will be on pay-per-view by the end of 2019.
That's a long time. That's a long time to go. First of all,
I have no idea what's going on.
Is Wilder Joshua not about to be on pay-per-view?
Joshua, is he from Al Heyman? Joshua, is he an Al Heyman fighter?
No, Wilder is, but Wilder's an Al Heyman fighter. So is he not about to be on pay-per-view?
Yeah, but Joshua, that's because Joshua's a big star, man.
But hold on.
We're gonna throw everything out. We're gonna let's throw Floyd out. Let's throw Wilder. This about to happen.
No. Wilder wouldn't be pay-per-view if he didn't fight Joshua. He's not pay-per-view against anybody else.
Cameron, let's be real, right? Let's be real. Al Heyman, I didn't see him getting all these millions that he's got out of his pocket to win the fight purse. With Povetkin, he was willing to let Wilder go to Russia.
Yeah. Exactly.
What a promoter.
That's because he believes in this guy. Just like Spence went over there and whooped on Kell Brook.
So you think it's belief, do you? You think it's belief?
We seen Kell Brook got whooped on quitting the UK.
Nothing to do with belief. Al Heyman wasn't willing to put up $11 million for Deontay Wilder because he classes him as not worth that. Simple as.
It's 50 on the floor for AJ. All he got to do is take the fight. 50 on the floor.
Errol Spence is wildly popular in his hometown of Dallas. I mean, wildly popular. That kid is so popular. Exactly. Now, honestly, though, right? Now, this is a very serious question. How many times has he fought there under Al Heyman?
He's fighting there at Dallas Cowboys practice facility. His next fight against Ocampo. Big move by Al
Heyman. 3 years. It took him. And you know what? And I know this for
Bondu, too. He fought there against Bondu, too.
Let me interject, please.
And I know for a fact, because I was told for a fact that it was the only reason why he's in Dallas now, because his people told Heyman the next fight better be in Dallas.
But
he just retweeted a tweet that he had that he couldn't wait to get back there for fight for the championship.
You know what? Let's break it down.
Al Heyman's being competitive. All right, right now, as the way boxing stands financially, he's being competitive with the same things Golden Boy's doing, same things Bob Arum's doing. Well, actually, Golden Girl does have Canelo, so
but let's be honest. Right now, he's not doing anything right now with Showtime. Showtime could cut him out right now. What do they really need him for now?
You can't say that.
Honestly,
they pulling in fights that's getting 6 million views. We can't say that.
All right,
ESPN ain't do that.
No, listen. All right. Hold on. Can I finish, please? Listen, Showtime. It's on Showtime's budget. Steven Espinoza, again, not my opinion. This is Steven Espinoza out of his own mouth. When the fighters are on Showtime, and this all ties into court, I can explain later. when they're on Showtime, it has nothing to do with the PBC. And the reason for that, it's Showtime money, has nothing to do with PBC money. It's their budget. That's why he can only make so many fights. And another reason, when he goes to court, they're going to expect Waddell and Reed will say, okay, what about all these fights on Showtime you just had? Was that cut on that? And that's why it's separate. So Espinosa keeps, anytime there's a mic in front of him, nope, it's not the PBC. Because what happened, the PBC is, he busted his load. The money's gone. There is no more money. Right now, they are surviving on Showtime's fucking budget. And that they just had recently, those were leftovers from contracts they signed 2 years ago. And that's why they got bottom opponents in our main cards, because there was no money. That's why they get the cheapest. He put Fox, freaking Saturday night, major network, and Lopez, and who was it? Nobody remembers because nobody watched it. Because he had no money, because that was coming out of his pocket, not Showtime's budget. All the good fights, it's their budget. I'm stating these are facts. These aren't my opinions.
I don't know why people want to defend Al Heyman.
Anybody want to talk about? You guys want to talk about Gary Russell Jr. fighting in front of 2,500 people?
And that was in his home state, man. I mean, well, listen.
Yeah.
The point of this all, because we got to redirect it. The
just
whole
the
point
fight,
was.
Though. I'm talking about the fight.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Just the fight. Well, yeah, we'll get to that. But let me just say one last thing, please, about the whole, because this whole thing about Al Heyman started because we said that, Trapp said that it was because of racism. And then we said, well, what Al Heyman is, our contention is not that Al Heyman is failing because of racism. It's that because he's not a good promoter. Hold on. Yeah, we're gonna say that. We're gonna say that because look, I've done research on. I've done the research.
Network television anymore for a reason.
Please, let me
finish. He's not on network television for a reason.
Bucho, can you hear me? Hold on. Hey, can anybody hear me? Please. I just want to say one last thing because this is getting fucking stale. Al Heyman does not delegate power. That's what Thomas Hauser said in his 6-piece expose that he did on him. The guy does not delegate power, so he doesn't take advice, or if he does, he wants to handle everything himself. He thinks he can do this the way he did in the music industry, which isn't the same. He bought airtime from NBC and all those other networks, and now it's gone. Like Jimmy said, Jimmy made some very good points, all right, and nobody's addressed him so far. So Al Heyman busted his nut. He had to go back to Showtime. Eric Gomez or whoever has him by the short and curlies. He had to go back to Showtime after he pissed him off when he created the whole PBC thing. Errol Spence, he's the one that's exciting. You can't argue against excitement. But then you look at Keith Thurman. Golden Boy was doing a good job with the guy. Then he goes with Al Heyman, career stalls. Danny Garcia, again, when he was with Golden Boy, got an excellent run. Amir Khan, Zab Judah, Eric Morales. He goes with the PBC. What happens? Career stalls. And you see that from a whole bunch of fighters that now want out of the PBC because they're not fighting. They're on the PBC game plan, which is one fight at a time. That's not great promoting. I'm sorry. I wanted the PBC to everybody, every boxing fan wanted it to be good because I was, fucking boxing on free TV. Sign me up.
I was excited.
Everybody was excited.
I was too. That's why I'm so angry, because I was so excited. And remember, there was two statements, what they call, I forget exactly how they put it, but statement. Yeah, that's it. Mission statement. The only plan out PBC, this was the only plan, there was no backup, to get boxing off of premium cable time and back on free TV. The fact that he went out, bought the biggest mansion he could find, didn't make the mortgage payments, got it foreclosed, and he's back on his daddy's couch, doesn't mean he's a six piece.
Yeah, Al Heyman, right? Al Heyman, what he did was a smart business move, but it wasn't good for boxing. He got this deal where all these fighters on the PBC that work for him, obviously these fights he's making were with PBC fighters, were just fighting in their own camps. But he gets paid for each fight that happens. So he's paying them ridiculous money out of this $500 million that he's been given. So he can take his 20% or whatever it is. And it adds up. So he's basically ripped boxing off and boxing fans off to run off in the sunset with a big pay package. And anyone that can't see that is fucking blind.
Hey, can we, guys, not to hijack the thread, but I and probably a lot of other people, we probably would like to move on from this. I'm going to say this about Trapp. Hold on, one last thing. I enjoy your take on boxing. I thought it was refreshing to hear somebody, give Andre Ward props for certain things, but not completely dick ride him and keep it honest about how he's overrated. So I enjoy your take on boxing. Everyone on this show has gotten chewed out for their views on something else. So, just comes with the territory, I suppose. I hope you keep coming back on the show because you got a good fresh perspective. But this whole Al Heyman thing, just lick your wounds, bro. That's all I'm saying. I had to do that too.
I respect that, Precise. We can agree to disagree. I don't agree with
totally.
The safe zone.
Got you, man.
All right, so Trap.
It's all good. It's all good.
Personal.
I like Trap.
I echo everything Precise said too. Yes, I respect your opinion. I think you're a good kid. I don't want you to let's just keep it where it is. You know what I mean?
Respect the BDA for having me on too, man. I respect that.
Well, Trap, I'll give you, before we move on from this subject, I'll give you the last word if you want on this whole Al Heyman thing. If not, we'll start talking because we gotta go soon. But we didn't even talk about Gary Russell Jr. versus Joseph Diaz. So go ahead if you wanna say one last thing about Al Heyman or if you wanna move on. It's your choice.
Hold on.
Oh, I think he's recharging his phone or anyway. So I think Precise.
Well, let's move on. You're right. Precise is fucking right.
Yeah, let's move on. But hey, then again, Gary Russell Jr. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just gonna bust out the predictions here that everybody made. Let's go. Stu said Russell Jr. 10th round stoppage. Pavel said Russell 10th round TKO. Recognize said Russell by close decision. Bucho said Diaz by decision. Precise said Russell by unanimous decision. Apology didn't make one. Boxing style say Joseph Diaz by 10th round body shot. Jimmy said Gary Russell by decision. Cameron said Russell by 8th round stoppage. X had Russell Jr. by 12 rounds to nothing. Reverse had Russell by mid to late knockout. And I didn't even say my prediction because this fucking connection sucks. But anyway, guys, who wants to go first about this Gary Russell? Oh, I think I said Trap. What?
Can I go real quick? I'm going to hop off and get off the show. Just keep listening to you guys. I just want to say that what's his face? Jojo Diaz fucked it up, man. He didn't do enough to press the action, win the fight. I know some people thought that maybe he had nicked it. I completely disagree. I think he blew it. And it kind of reminded me of Amir Khan, and I've compared Gary Russell Jr. in the past to Amir Khan. Now, granted, I think he's more skillful and a lot tougher than Amir Khan, but Jojo Diaz was coming in stupid like, what's his face? Collazo was against Amir Khan and was just giving him all these free shots. And I know a lot of the punches didn't land and there was a lot of shoe shining going on, but point blank period, Gary Russell Jr. outworked him. Diaz hurt him to the body a bunch of times. Fine. He didn't win the fight. I don't know what you guys thought. Thanks for having me on. I'm going to keep listening, but that's it for me. Take it easy.
Well, all Precise. Right. I compare Diaz. I mean, I compare Russell with Khan too. I say, imagine if Khan had power in his fist. I mean, imagine if Khan had an iron chin, and imagine if Russell Jr. had power in his fist. You'd have two unstoppable fighters.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think that Gary Russell Jr. is starting to sit down more on his shots. But anyway, Precise, thank you for being on, man, and thank you for giving us your take on Gary Russell Jr. I said Trap was gonna go first with the Gary Russell Jr. deal. So Trap, go ahead, man. What was your opinion on the fight?
Yeah, going into the fight, I had Jojo Diaz winning. I thought that he would be more aggressive when he got in the inside. I thought the refs played a big role, kind of like in the Joseph Parker AJ fight when they kept breaking up the inside work. But I feel like around the 4th, 5th, he was hitting him and he was moving Russell. But I felt he should have went in for the attack more, kind of like how Spence does when he sees a guy hurt. But I just felt he was a little bit too timid. And later in the fight, he just seemed to be defeated by the speed of Gary Russell. And he needs to learn how to change levels, somewhat like maybe if he's going to come in without the jab, he has to adapt a Sean Porter type approach against faster fighters like that. But I feel like Diaz could have beat Russell, but he just wasn't aggressive enough when he got on the inside. And then the referee definitely stops a lot of the work on the inside.
Yeah, that fucking referee, man, Kenny Chevali, don't forget the name. We've seen him a bunch of times, overtly aggressive, just screaming all the time, shouting. It's like he's on Adderall or something. But, shit, people dropped off again. But going back to your point, Trap, and to Precise's point as well, he came in there. He said prior to the fight that he wanted to take the fight to Gary Russell Jr. and he talked the talk and he walked the walk, but he'd never fought anybody like as good as Gary Russell Jr. and it showed. He was competitive, but he was always one step behind Gary Russell Jr. So yeah, that I agree with that, man. I mean, he was digging well to the body early on, but then at a certain point, Gary Russell Jr. just took it to another gear, and he was always one step ahead of Gary Russell Jr. Who else wants to go? Give their opinion on the fight.
Can I share my scorecards?
Yeah, please.
I had 120 to 108 for Gary Russell Jr.
Whoa.
You're joking,
yeah.
Right?
No, I think those judges who gave 117 to 111 for Gary Russell were a joke. They didn't appreciate my brother enough. And that's
all right,
it.
I think somebody's being sarcastic again. Pavel, you got to lay off the sarcasm,
I'm not
man.
sarcastic. No, I'm not sarcastic.
Now, I agree with what Trapp said, man. I also had Diaz as the favorite. I thought I knew that the body punches were going to take its toll. And so as a fight at the beginning, I was like, holy shit. I was ready to gloat. And I was like, yes, that's what I predicted. But, I mean, you got to give some credit to fucking Russell Jr., man. He survived those body shots. And then at some point, Diaz just, I don't know if it was fatigue or the speed or a combination of both, but he just couldn't handle fucking Russell Jr., man. And he just let those rounds pass by, and he lost so many rounds at the end. And he didn't let his hands go later on. So I don't know if that's also part of experience. Yeah. But yeah, he lost that fight. He let it go, man.
What a waste of talent Russell Jr.'s been. What a waste of talent Russell Jr.'s been, really. I mean, it's a shame. I mean, this guy's still world class, don't get me wrong, but this guy had the talent to be special. But he's just stalled his career fighting once a year. You know, it's just not enough. You've got to, like I said, when you're in your peak in boxing, you've got to make the best of it. You've got to be fighting 3-4 times a year against the best, make your money and get out of boxing. But Gary Russell Jr. is just stalling on like the tortoise. He's like a tortoise, just strolling down the fucking lane, and he's in no rush to get his career on track. And it's a shame, really.
He doesn't care though, bro. That's the thing. Like Gary Russell Jr. He doesn't care, man. He doesn't care. Like he doesn't care about legacy. He don't care about anything. He said numerous times, "I don't like boxing. You know, I'm not in it. You know, I don't like boxing. I'm just doing something good at it." Yeah. And that's all he cares about. He's just coming in, getting in, get out, making money. He doesn't care if he fights once a year. I mean, he made 1.2 mil last night or something. I mean, why would you? He's only making he's making millions for a fight like that once a year, taking no damage whatsoever, no risks, and get out. Then it's his choice.
Well, he took some damage, though. I mean.
Yeah, he took some damage, but he's not embroiled in fights 3 times a year like most champions.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's not consistent, yeah.
I respect his approach though, because everybody doesn't love the sport. Kind of like how Andrew Bynum in basketball, he just was tall, but he didn't love it. And boxing is a rough sport. It can beat you up. It can take a toll on you later on in life. So I respect him coming in and coming out, because maybe he's doing the right thing with his money and he doesn't need to fight multiple times a year. But yeah, it's hurting his legacy. But if he's happy, his family is okay, then I can respect that.
Well, is he not fighting because of choice, or is it because he's been injured, or like what's going on?
He said he only wants. He did an interview last night and said he wants to preserve his body and he only wants to fight 1 time a year, even going forward.
That's shocking, isn't it? I mean, when you consider the opposition he's been fighting, like if he was fighting somebody, you know, like a Santa Cruz. I wrote on Twitter earlier on saying that, you know, this guy has got so much talent, but it's time for him to, you know, if he wants to these big fights, does he not want big fights? I mean, because he's with PBC, he's with Heyman. You know, he's with them, like, and he's got Santa Cruz. He's got all these guys.
Yeah, he said he wanted to unify with Abner Mares or whoever won that fight next, and then he also said he would want to fight with Tank when he moved up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he wants Lomachenko, so that's not going to happen. But Russell's been saying he wants these big fights for years now, since he beat Gonzalez for the title, and they're not happening, man. I mean, if you're fighting once a year, then there's less chance of these fights happening for you. I mean, he's got a limited time frame because these guys fighting regularly. So Russell does himself damage, man.
Him and Tank could happen because they're both from the DC area, so I could see that fight happening. And that was a fight that they were talking about last night, and Tank was tweeting about it as well.
And Tank,
I love that fight. I love that fight. I think it's a great fight.
I don't know if Tank Davis is. You guys don't think he's too strong, maybe, for Gary Russell Jr.?
Yeah. Did you guys see Diaz look way bigger than Russell Jr., man?
He knocked Russell Jr. fucking out. Come on now.
Tank knocks him out easy. That's an easy fight for Tank.
Not an easy fight because Tank. The thing with Tank though, it's just what Tank Davis turns up on the night. He can be world class or he can be shocking. So if you turn up shocking against Gary Russell Jr., then you're going to get your face punched in. But I'm picking Tank Davis on that one.
Yeah, I picked Tank Davis to the fight last night. Oh.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Russell Diaz. That kind of went is how I predicted it would, and the reason why is because I just thought Diaz hasn't had that middle road fight. He went from, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, just spoon-fed guys made him look good, even though one guy gave him a good time. But right up to probably the best in the division, at least the fastest hands. He didn't have that go-between fight. If he would have had one more go-between fight, that next level, I think it would have set him up better for that. Sometimes it looked like he was thinking too much, and when you're in there with somebody with hands like that, you don't have time to think. It's on you, and you're playing catch-up. That's the only reason why I had Russell winning that in the hometown. But I think if he had a couple more seasons, a couple more good bouts under his belt, you know what I mean, in between echelon or even right below Russell, it would have set him up in a better position. But that's just my take.
Yeah, well, I agree with 3-piece. I'd like to see a rematch at some point down the line. I just think he can't be afraid to trade, and I feel like last night he was afraid to trade. He tried to stay in that shell because he was catching a lot of Russell's punches on his gloves, but he just didn't want to trade with him. I think if he would have traded with him, he could have probably put him down because he came into that fight. They said on the weigh-in he had to lose 15 pounds in that day, getting the sauna room. So he was the bigger guy. He just was afraid to trade and let his hands go. He kind of had that Broner effect.
That's interesting because, again, Gary Russell Jr., when he lost to Lomachenko, a lot of people thought, he can't hit, he can't punch. But he was on a knockout streak recently, and against Jojo Diaz Jr., I thought he was kind of getting his punches through behind the gloves. He was teeing off on Diaz, and I think he's a much better puncher now than people give him credit for. Even though technically, yeah, he does tend to slap sometimes. But here's the big question, though, because what I liked about this division is, all right, there's different promotional entities and all that. It's going to be hard to make certain fights. But at least we had Josh Warrington taking on Selby. That happened. We had Russell versus Diaz last night. And then we're going to have Santa Cruz versus Maris, which, again, I'm not terribly interested in that fight, but at least it's a competitive fight between two top 10 guys. My question is this. We got Josh Warrington now moving up because of his win over Selby. I think Gary Russell Jr., I don't know why they have Carl Well, do you guys agree with Ring TV? I'm putting the results up on the screen. Do you think Carl Frampton is a number 2 guy, or should it be Gary Russell Jr.?
That's when you know.
I'd put Frampton because of the company.
Right,
Frampton. He did beat Santa Cruz at least once, so.
I'd go Frampton too, just for his opposition. What Russell has fed on, I mean, come on. Yeah, no, I definitely, just because of the fights he's been in, Frampton.
I mean, last night was a win, right? It was a good win, but it was the first win in 3 years actually the Johnny Gonzalez, but Gonzalez, man, that was a very good performance from...
Well, like Jimmy said, Diaz, who had he fought before that? I mean...
Right. Now, here's the thing.
Experience.
It seems to me like a lot of people are underrating Carl Frampton when it comes to actual matchups, because I remember Stu said he would pick Selby against him, and I was thinking, I thought about that, but I think Carl Frampton, he struggled a little bit against his the opponent before Donaire. I forgot the guy's name, the Canelo prodigy, but that was a stylistic matchup, different stylistic matchup, and maybe he didn't train properly, whatever. But he looked very good outboxing Donaire. I thought Donaire is still very dangerous with left hook. So this division, guys, everybody's fighting each other. That's what I like. What would you rather see? Would you rather see Santa Cruz against Frampton or Santa Cruz against Gary Russell Jr.?
Gary Russell Jr.
Because, there's a two champions unification. This division needs unification. I mean, I can see what we're talking about with Frampton, but Frampton outboxed Donaire, but Donaire's not a featherweight. Like, Frampton's beat Cruz, but that's all he's done at featherweight. I mean, I don't think Frampton's the best of the weight. He's the best fighter at the weight without a title, but I don't think he's the best fighter at the weight.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, I do change my pick on that Selby Frampton. He beat Selby the way Selby's looking right now, that's for sure.
He is. I think Selby just outgrew the weight. I think he was drained.
Yeah, he looked weak and lethargic, didn't he? And slow.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair to you, Stu, I do still think that Frampton-Selby would be very close, because Frampton, he can fight on the inside, but he's not the best at cutting off the ring. I don't know if I'm right on that one, but when Santa Cruz was outboxing him, he was coming in very wild with his hands down. So if Selby can keep him on the, you know what? I think Frampton would do better against Warrington, just based on the fact that Warrington would be coming to him.
Yeah,
for sure.
I tell you why as well, because Reach is Frampton's fucking kryptonite, I'm afraid. He's struggling in that featherweight division because look at his arms, man. Oh, fuck me, they're like Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, aren't they? You know what I mean? You know, the guy's got no length and reach, and he's struggling to get inside these fighters. And a lot of these featherweights are big guys. When you look at Santa Cruz, long and range, Selby even, you know, and so. I just think Frampton should go. I don't think he can make super bantamweight, but that's where his best weight is for me. I just don't think he's a great fighter at featherweight.
I was only got for Selby confirmed on his Twitter this morning that he's moving up to super featherweight next.
But
them guys are going to be too strong for him. You know, Josh Warrington was too strong.
No power. Yeah,
he's got no power. You need to be hurting people. When people are flying in, rushing you, you've got to be, when you counter them, you've got to be able to hurt them. Because if they're walking through your shots, you're in trouble. And Selby, man, for me, Selby's got a lot to go to the drawing board and change, to be honest with you.
But I think Jojo Diaz is still in that top 3 conversation, because I think if you take away Gary Russell's speed, which many don't have, he'll wipe out Gary Russell, and I think he wipes out almost everybody else in that division, because he's still a very good fighter. It's just that speed that made him timid. But in all his past fights, he's still a pretty fast fighter. But like Amir Khan, Gary Russell is just his speed is like, if this was the video game, he'd be 10 plus all the way at the top.
I agree with Trap. That's right. I agree.
Hey, what about Santa Cruz? Go ahead.
Hold on. I'm getting off here, y'all. It's been a pleasure. All right.
All right, man. Take care, man.
Everybody.
All right, peace, man.
Stuart, it's my pleasure, man. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a nice day, man. I'm out.
Yeah, take care, bro.
Take care.
Too, man.
Take care, buddy.
All right, guys. What about like Santa Cruz against Russell Jr.? Who do you have in that fight?
It's a tough
Good
one.
fight. Good fight.
Now, in that fight, I think Santa Cruz should fight different. What?
Sorry, Santa Cruz versus Russell Jr.
Yep.
Oh, Russell Jr.
Okay. Now, how should Santa Cruz approach this fight? Because if you look at how Santa Cruz approached the Frampton fight, he was actually moving in the second fight, right? He wasn't rushing in. But in my opinion, I think he actually should rush in against Russell Jr. if he ever fights him. Because you saw Diaz how much damage he was doing in the earlier rounds. I think Santa Cruz, that's the approach he should take, but he should keep it consistent for 12 rounds, and he can actually maybe defeat Russell Jr. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think you got to take. I think if you stand at range and try and box Russell Jr., you're going to have problems. You've got to, like Butcho said, you've got to get in the pocket and rough this guy up.
Yeah, I agree. You have to have a Sean Porter, Jeff Horn type mentality when you fight.
Yeah, you do. You do, bro. You do.
Yeah, I don't think Frampton has the technical set of skills to make. I mean, like I said, if you press him, he can fight on the inside. He showed it against Santa Cruz in the first fight. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
I just want to throw props to Russell, man. You see that boy's abs? That kid did his ab work.
What the fuck, man?
He knew he was going to be catching some leather downstairs. I'll tell you, he didn't skip ab day, which a lot of fighters do. And you can see those things were chiseled. He was a smart man. He knew where the fucking body attack was coming. So, that was a smart thing there. But
it probably won in the fight.
That was insane.
Yeah, I admire. Sorry, BD. I admire Gary Russell Jr. just like Andre Berto admired Andre Ward.
Oh yeah. You mean in a not so straight fashion? Is what you're saying?
Well, don't be assuming.
Hey, by the way, Recognize never came back. I sent him the invite. Did he say something? Oh, I think. Yeah, didn't I call you Recognize? I thought it did. I think I called you. Anyway, listen. The point is this. I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that if you work your ab, just because you have cut abs, doesn't necessarily mean you got. In fact, I once heard somebody say that if you actually have a little bit of fat, not a huge fucking gut, but if you have a layer of fat, it can actually cushion. It helps cushion the blow. So I don't know if that's true or not.
It's a blow science.
I usually those were thick. He had them deep. Those were deep sets. Some people, it's all body types is ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Mesomorph is round muscle bellies. Like Gary Russell Jr. would be a perfect bodybuilder. Every muscle would look round and big. So he's got that body style, but those were deep abs. He did a lot of crunches, a lot of side bends, and he crunched them suckers in good because he knew that's where the attack was going to come. He was smart.
Yeah, they're good for the solar plexus punches, but when it comes to that punch at the side of the kidneys and the liver around there, side of the rib cage, it don't matter how much muscle you cut, mate. It takes a lot of damage out of you. Yeah, the body punch is a very dangerous weapon if you do it right. You can sit there and slap bodies all day long, and it's not going to do anything. But if you get that body punch in the right position, right near the rib cage between the kidney and the liver, mate, they're going down every time.
Yeah.
Well, like this way, guys.
Like Lomachenko, you know the Lomachenko shot that he hit Linares with. That is the perfect body shot where he hit that.
Exactly, right in the liver. And I'll tell you right now, I was always in the bodybuilding. Doing abs never bothered me. In fact, I enjoyed them. And you guys have all seen Mickey Ward's body shots. And I can tell you, I've been on the receiving end of those. And no matter how good, like you just said, you think your abs are, and I would be preparing for it too, like sucking in, holding in. And he would just time you because he would tap me up top. He'd get my hand to raise up just a little bit. He'd notice me breathe out or whatever and just pop, that little whack. And I'll tell you, knocking you just want to die.
You don't need
ugly feeling.
Yeah, and you don't actually need any weights for training your upper body. I mean, the hardest training for upper body that I've ever took is from gymnastics people. I mean, that's just brutal.
Yeah, you got to work every part of your core, right?
That's a BDA shot, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
do you know what? That's one sport I just don't understand. Why would any kid want to think, well, I'm going to fucking do a somersault and hopefully I won't land on my head? I mean, to start practicing that sport, man, you've got to be absolutely fucking nuts. I mean, it's great to watch, don't get me wrong, but some of the risks these guys and girls take, man, you've got to respect them.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of not lifting heavy weights for fighters. I just don't agree. I think it should be all, like you said, calisthenics, all use your own body weight. Like, see Lomachenko when he walks across the ring on his fucking hands, on his knuckles, and then he stops and does push-ups in the handstand position. You know how hard that is? I'm telling you, just have somebody hold your legs and try to do a few push-ups like that. It's ugly, man. And he fucking walks around the ring.
I agree. And people underestimate how difficult it is to actually do a perfect straight line handstand from your head to the toes. It's really hard, and sometimes people train like 2 years as a teen for achieving that skill. So
yeah, man.
I agree. I respect Loma's conditioning too. That handstand thing is hard, but I think a lot of these fighters, I was surprised. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and they were saying they don't really work on cardio like that, and that's why I think you get what you seen last night with Stevenson and Badu Jack, and I'm starting to see it more and more. These guys don't work on cardio enough, and they need to because they're cheating the fans in the long run when they can't hold up long in fights.
I agree.
You know, that handstand that Lomachenko does, and then he does it on his with his knuckles. What that builds up, man, is your forearms and your wrists. Remember when he was catching Rigo, and everybody was like, "Well, Rigo doesn't look like he's really." There was nothing there to quit. What he was giving him was stiff punches from his elbow, all the way, extended from his elbow to his wrist. And trust me, because I do them myself. I can do this. Yeah. I mean, I got to prove it, obviously, to you guys, but I could do it. Exactly, right? And the one thing that it always built up, I've always had fast hands. So once I started throwing punches from my elbow extended to my wrist, right? Like all that muscle tense, I started noticing the big difference from punching with gloves on, right?
I know why. Do you want to know why?
Go ahead, tell me.
Because basically, when I was training boxing, and I did a very specific exercise for my right hand, so I stood right in front of the wall. I extended my whole arm.
Yep.
And I just pushed on the wall with my whole body, right? And I tried to keep my arm straight. what that does it to you is that it builds your connective tissue. And that, my theory is that just having strong connective tissue, not so much your muscles, but your connective tissue like fascia, tendons, ligaments, and all that stuff,
right,
is preventing you from breaking your joints on an impact. For example, when you see Sergey Kovalev on his straight right hand, it doesn't break. It doesn't break at all. It's just going through like a butter, and the arm is still extended. And you look at Timothy Bradley, all the muscled up guy, but his punches break on the impact. It's pathetic.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it is. So when you punch, so what Loma is doing, right? What he's doing is before he gets the rhythm of punching from his shoulder all the way down, using every part of his muscle, he's doing a feel-up punch. But those feel-up punches are hurting him because he's hitting from the most important part, which is bracing the elbow, the forearm to the wrist, and landing with those punches. So they're thinking to themselves, man, if he fully extends with a punch, he's gonna hurt me really bad. That's why these guys are quitting. You understand?
Exactly.
That's why he quit, because he was getting stung with the little what you think are pity pats, but they're shaking him. They're shaking his legs. They're shaking his body.
All right. By the way, can I interject here?
When it comes to punching power, I think you've got to. It's a twisting motion. You've got to look. Well, you know when they drill for oil, a drill. It just doesn't drill. It drills in. It circles. It drills in. It brings more energy, and that's what a punch is like, sort of thing. You've got to twist the punch, and a lot of guys slap their punches, and that's why they're not big punches. But a lot of the big knockout artists actually turn their punches, and it's a twisting motion. The Eastern Europeans have got it down to a T, really, sort of thing.
It's technique. I mean, it's the skill. To have punching power is a skill. It's just natural. I mean, obviously, I guess some people are born with it, but that's debatable. I think it's a lot of it has to do with that technique for sure. Now, just change something. BDA, low places on the chat. Obviously, talking about Stevenson against Badu Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Should we make an exception? The people are demanding an exception.
Well, first of all, hold on. First, I have to say, Trap, Lopez is against you. He's saying, I think he's calling you a computer geek. He's implying that you don't know shit about boxing, and he's not. You gotta understand, Lopez is a guy that's a tremendous, super, uber Stevenson fan, and I don't think he liked the fact that you said that he's got shitty stamina. That's how it is with him. You can't criticize Stevenson with him. You want to reply to what he said?
Lopez is the biggest Stevenson fan.
Hold on. Let Trap. I want to let Trap reply to Lopez. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said that's cool. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but we all watched the fight and we all seen him get tired down the stretch. But except it was maybe the 10th and the 9th he got a second win, but for most of that second half of the fight he got tired and he was laying on Badu Jack. So we all seen that. So if he feels that way, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. You know what, man? I'll give Stevenson credit. I wrote on Twitter, actually. I'll give Stevenson quite a lot of credit for that fight last night. Simply for the fact that, the guy's 40 years old. He's there for the taking. And, he went in there and I didn't think he would handle. I didn't think he'd go 12 with Badu Jack. I didn't think the fight would go 12. I didn't think Stevenson would see the final bell if it went later on either. So I feel like Stevenson for me, the guy, Lloyd Places has said a few right things about Stevenson before. Stevenson's never had a prime. He became champion at 35, and he's fought some real poor opposition, but he hung in there with Badu Jack last night, and Badu Jack's legit, so I'll give him some credit, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen, he finally stepped up against a good opponent, and he almost got taken out. So I do give him credit for sticking in there and holding, because I had given somebody credit once. Who was it? For being able to survive the 12th round by holding. So from a technical standpoint, it was a beautiful display of clinching and wrestling, but it is illegal and against the rules. So I don't know about Adonis Stevenson, but we're talking about body shots and power. Bucho, you said that it's not all just that X factor, but that it is actually just technique. I don't know about that, because you look at a guy like Maidana, who does turn his punches over, but he swings his punches like he's throwing a rock or something. Do you think he's got? Bucci just left, but anyway,
BDA, I say that true power, like that Maidana power, that Wilder power, that's something you just born with. But you can still get a solid 7, 6, 7.5 level power with just technique, because most trainers teach you to hit with the pointing finger. You should only be landing with that knuckle right there and turning and spinning your punches, and your shoulder should be leaning in towards your chin. Exactly. When you get that perfect punch. So I think you can get a 7.5 level of power with just having the right technique, but that superpower comes from, just born with it, like Wilder and Maidana.
Well, Pavel did tell us. Well, actually, Pavel, you go ahead and just try to keep it real short, please, because we're running out of time. But you talked about how the tendons, right, and the muscle tissue that's involved.
Well, that's basically the component that not many boxers train, and many guys have that aptitude to train their bodies, their muscle strength up to a certain point. And there's not much of a discrepancy between their power, unless there are some superhuman examples or PD enhanced like Roy Jones Jr. was. But my point is that if you can just train that missing link, that tendon strength, and if you have a good technique, then it's all achievable. That so-called superhuman power, like Golovkin has. Golovkin has superhuman power. First of all, he doesn't lose balance at all. Second of all, his punch technique execution is just almost perfect, and he has great conditioning. He just knows what he does, and he trains right. When I see his workouts, half of his workout is in endurance and connective tissue strength. And I think it's perfectly achievable. It's not that he's some sort of Robocop. Listen, that excuse that punchers are born, not made, that's an excuse of especially those old-time trainers from 70s that didn't know jack shit how to train a certain punching power. They just had kids that understood better, or those kids had more natural aptitude to pick up on those nuances of boxing in terms of your knowledge of your biomechanics and all that, and they just felt like they punched hard. But we we know exactly, especially in certain circles, if you have a good physical sports trainer that knows what he's doing, then absolutely you can improve your punching power by a lot. And it's not something undoable like Golovkin.
Yeah, that's the thing, man.
I agree with that.
I agree
Golovkin he has great power, but he also has great technique too. And I think it's not that Spence has that one punch knockout power, but he has great technique, and that's what ends up wearing on an opponent.
He does. He does actually.
And it is technique, and it is how you talk. But if, say, you're a trainer and you take two guys, exact same build and everything, not everybody's the physiology is the same. Some dudes have just fucking powerhouses. I got this kid who's my size and everything, never even took steroids. Kid was benching 400 pounds. You know what I mean? He was like 200. He had those fucking monkey tendons in his arms. It's crazy. So some people just naturally stronger. It's just a roll of the dice. But it is true. If you learn your technique, there is trainers who can take what you're born with and bring it to the highest level. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and some humans are just naturally stronger, even at the same weight, than other humans.
My point is, I agree with you, and my point is that discrepancy between that superhuman strength that is not attainable and what you can train to is the discrepancy between those 2 points is very low, actually. And you can train
exactly.
that.
No, I agree with what you said. You made excellent points.
I think
and a lot of people use it as an excuse just not to train, or certain boxing trainers don't know how to train it, so they just use it as a bullshit excuse.
All right.
I think you can teach a perfect punch, but to be able to land anywhere and from with bad technique like how Wilder does, that's not taught. That's just something you're born with.
I'll tell you this right now, because I've been, and you guys would actually be shocked how many world-class fighters have trainers, right? Don't even have like nutrition programs. Like you'd be honestly shocked. Like guys were fighting on HBO who are clueless. like clueless on biomechanics, clueless on nutrition. It's nuts. Like you said, they're stuck back in the archaic days of doing raw eggs and fucking hill runs in the morning instead of involving all these other new techniques. They're just closed-minded to it, and it's a shame.
Yeah, three-piece, I agree with that. Because Earl Spence, strength and conditioning trainer, Blu-ray Fitness on Instagram, that's what he was pointing out on the podcast, that a lot of these guys just don't have good work ethic. They just train in the ring, but they don't actually do strength and conditioning to the level that Spence does, and that's what sets him apart.
All right, now, before we continue on this, I want to welcome back Lopez to the show. He's right here on the hangout. Lopez, are you there?
Yeah. What's going on, man?
Hello, Lopez. Good to have you back. I know you've been wanting to talk about this fight for a long time. Finally happened. We finally saw it. Trapp says he doesn't enjoy the Stevenson lack of work ethic. What do you? I mean, he did seem very, very tired, man.
Let me point this out. This is what I was saying.
Stevenson got his ass whooped.
Hold on. This is what I was saying. It was more of an indictment on Badu Jack because he couldn't get him done being that tired and being that age. But I think both of them could have did better conditioning pre-fight.
Mm-hmm.
You think he's Chavez Senior at 30? He's not a quitter. He's not Oscar at 30s. The man ain't a quitter. The man, if he wanted to quit, he would have quit. Darren Funfara is 6'3", walking down on him. It's no indictment on Jack. That's a fucking monster with a ridiculous punch. That dude ain't a quitter. He got one of the better chins that people give no props to.
Who said he was a quitter? I never said that.
That's what you're saying. You're saying finish this guy. He's not some guy just gonna say, I'm checking out. It's not gonna happen.
No, it wasn't that. It was. He's settled.
His chin is not there to be broken the way you think. You seen him knocked out once. Once again, Bellew's knocking out heavyweights. He touched Adonis. He looked at him and stuck his fucking tongue out. Look at the size of his chin. That motherfucker is huge.
No, but Badu Jack settled just to wrestle towards the end of the fight too. When you're the younger guy, you got to show that killer instinct, especially in someone else's town.
Okay, so when your nuts are in your stomach from huge left hands and you're still fighting it out in the 12th round like nothing happened to you, and I gave Badu Jack the 12th round, thought it was Swan, you're saying he's not showing. Dude, it's two great fighters in the ring. They both had game plans. I only thing is an indictment on Badu Jack is that he was a dirty fighter last night, and he's never been that to me in my life, and I'm upset with that. And if they do have a rematch, he needs to get that shit right. Because that was bullshit. Him blatantly aiming straight right hands to the dick. When he seen, look, Adonis put on the pressure in the 5th, 6th round. Badu Jack didn't like that shit.
That's all right, boxing, bro. Boxing.
No, it's not. It's called dirty. It's called dirty. And the more we sit up here and big it up, the more you're gonna sit up here and see people walk away from the sport and say, "Fuck this, these dudes suck."
You know what? I'm gonna agree with Lopez. I think at the fourth
changed the game, bro.
But what happened, I think Adonis caught, I'm not saying it was on purpose, but caught Badu Jack in the 4th low. And after that, Badu Jack seemed to me like he was targeting his nuts for a few rounds.
It was the 5th round. It was the 6th round he did that. Hold on, let me see, because I made a count of it. It was a low blow from Stevenson, and Jack threw 2 in a row. Then a third one, he threw a right, then a jab to the nuts, and then in the 8th, he really threw one, and the referee said time. And he should have took a point at that point. I can't believe Badu Jack done that. He's been one of the best fucking fighters. I think he's the best super middleweight of this decade without bullshit. He ain't lose to nobody. He beat 4 top 5 super middleweights. I think he's the best one of the decade. Ward could have had it, but he walked away. Froch has lost like 3 times this decade and had a few struggle fights through there. I think Badu Jack's the best one, but that shit he did last night, fucking no, I'm not having it. That was bullshit, and as simple as that. He didn't have to be that. If you're gonna get in the ring, be willing to fucking lose and get props for stepping your fucking ass in the ring. He stepped in there and he didn't think Stevenson would step on the inside with his ass, but when he did, he started hitting him with uppercuts. He started hitting him with rights to the body, and Badu Jack said, "Fuck this shit. I see he's tiring. Let me help him out some." He busted his nose after he hit him low, and he really drained him out. It was a bullshit fight, but credit for Stevenson. He could have packed that shit in and left.
All right. Lopez, take it easy, man. It sounds like you're all hyped up after the fight. Listen, when it comes to low blows, I say let him go ahead. If the ref is not gonna warn any guy for low blows, then let him go ahead. Because sometimes you want to see a fight go like Willie Pep versus Sandy Sadler. I forget which one it was, but one of the most dirty fights ever. Headbutts, low blows, rabbit shots, the whole gamut. It was sensational, and that's what I liked about that. But now, Lopez, let me ask you this. The referee last night, what did you think about him?
I think he did a trade-off. He said, you've been hitting him low. He's holding you. He traded off to save a championship fight. I even said this during I was recording on my camera and I planned to upload it to my channel. And I just didn't do it. That's what I was saying during the fight. It's like he's doing a trade-off. But I just wish it never got there. He did his job, but I just wish the shit never got there. Badu Jack is fucking better than that, man. He is way better than that. Even when Stevenson brought that pressure, it was a slow fight. But, Badu Jack was avoiding the left hand. You can't blame him. Because what's the point in getting on the plane and then having to take your ass right back after 3 rounds if Stevenson knocked the fuck out of you for getting too aggressive? So Stevenson had to be the one to come searching for Badu Jack. And I told people, he's not just some guy that'll fight you at range. He'll get in your fucking chest and want to fight you. When that happened, Badu Jack kept technique, but he just didn't get the better of it. So it's like, okay, trust your technique again. That can win you any fight. Being the guy that catch and shoots, being the guy that slips and bangs, that can win you any fucking fight.
All right. Take it easy, Lopez. Take it easy. You're getting emotional. You're getting emotional. Listen, let me tell you something. Is it possible that you overrated Badu Jack? Because this is his fourth fucking draw. The guy can't finish the fights. What's going on?
He can't finish his fights. Come on.
No, he changed the Gale's career. Okay, I don't even need to hear wins or losses no more. He changed careers already. All right. Fine. You want to talk about the draws before the draw? The Butte draw is ridiculous. The Gale draw is ridiculous. This one is ridiculous in the sense that maybe he should have had a point taken off, and maybe if he didn't do this, he just would have got whooped by the better fighter.
That's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. The referee,
he thought he was going to get a whooping.
But that's my thing. I disagree about the trade-off. I think the ref should have taken a point away in the 12th round, because if he hadn't allowed Stevenson to hold, I'm pretty sure he was about to go down. You saw that in the last 10 seconds, his knees buckled. He was spitting blood from his nose. He was about to go down. The boy was done, and the fucking referee, incompetent referee. I'm sorry. Listen, I gotta be. I can't be middle of the road all the time. This fucking guy did a horrible job. He almost let Vitaly Klitschko kill Shannon Briggs. He let Hopkins and Pascal hit each other behind the head all the time. I mean, come on, this ref. Oh yeah, let me ask you this, Lopez. Who did you have winning the fight then? Because I think I heard you said that it was a draw.
I had a draw. Even if they took points for the low blow, points for the holding, I would have still had the draw. I felt I could have swung. I don't know. I gave the first 2 rounds even. I wasn't, and then after that I had it even after 6, I believe. Or let's see, I got my card here. I had Jack winning the 3rd, Stevenson the 2nd, Stevenson the 5th, Stevenson the 6th, Jack the 7th, Jack the 8th, the 9th. The 10th I gave to Stevenson because he hurt him and he hurt him again. The 11th Stevenson hurt him and hurt him again. And then the 12th to Jack. I had it a fair draw, but I just don't think if Jack wouldn't have got those low blows in, Stevenson would have caught a second win that would have probably never went anywhere like it did with the fun bar fight until the fight is over. But Jack, it was a smart strategy to cheat, but it was a bullshit strategy.
Hold on. Pavel, you gotta mute your mic, please.
Hold on.
Pavel, you gotta mute. Yeah, Pavel, you gotta mute your mic, please, because we can hear you background conversation right there. All right, who wants to go? Because Lopez and I
want to ask something to Lopez, Kovalev or Bivol against Stevenson. How do you see that happening?
I still think they're very good fucking fights, and anybody can get knocked out in those fights. I'm looking at this fight saying, I was seeing the best of Stevenson about to come out and beat a man up, and then dick punches happen. And they continued to happen for 3 rounds. I think Stevenson's still a fucking boss.
So you wouldn't be surprised if Kovalev or Bivol stops Stevenson?
And I wouldn't be surprised if it happened the other way. No, that it's meant to be great fights, but I just hope it's no need for what Badu Jack done. I still think Badu Jack can compete with both of them. The guys you just named.
That was my question.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I'm sorry, that was my question. Bivol against Badu Jack. Who do you got there?
Yeah, that's a fucking great fight. I just hope he keeps that Andre Ward shit. He ain't never needed that. Keep that shit at home. I don't know what the fuck Lou Duval is teaching you, because let's be honest, ever since he let Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, he stopped punching the body as good as he used to. He threw some good body punches last night, but he didn't do the George Groves level work. He didn't do.
Do you know why he left Eddie Mustafa? Do you know why he left him too? I read about why he left him because 10%, which is the industry standard. That's the lowest, like across the board, any trainer will take. Right? He fired him because Eddie Mustafa, Hall of Fame guy, who you don't hear two bad words ever said about, let him go after he got a title to take on the guy who trains him now for 5%.
Yeah.
Yo, Lou Duval.
You know what I mean? So,
what happened to Lou Duval? What the hell?
Yeah, that's man.
Yo, I haven't seen him in years. He looks old and he's like 48, 40.
He got a drinking problem.
That dude is like only 3 years older than me.
He's had drinking problems and stuff like that in the past.
Drinking problems. That look like, oh my Lord.
Mustafa Muhammad was talking about how he got dropped for a guy with drinking problems who don't come to camp sometimes. Jack, I don't know. I just thought he was a better person and a better fighter than what he showed last night. I don't appreciate that.
Let me ask you guys this. What did you think of him calling on, putting it on Floyd, kind of, not like putting it directly on, but saying the judges might be cutting him short because of Floyd's. What'd you guys think of that?
Well, you know what? He has to do that type of shit. Everybody always does. And Badu Jack said the opposite. He said, well, they didn't give me the win because they're jealous that I'm the Floyd Mayweather fan. Yeah, so there's victim blaming all around, but there's blaming all around.
Could be true.
Could be. I don't know.
They didn't give him the Gale because of UK money, and they didn't give him this one because it was actually a damn draw. So he's a better person than that, and I'm gonna ask that better person come back out because this shit is the fouls and that shit right there. Throw it away, man. You could have last night. You had a chance to have a Hall of Fame career, and you stunk it up with dirty shots. No thanks.
Well, you know what? Stevenson's old. He started to slow down. That's just a fact, man.
It's interesting.
Sure, there was some low blows, but you can't. Those weren't the determining factors in the fight.
But it's interesting because going back to the
Bottle Jack messed up, man. He messed up.
Going back to the fucking thing about Mayweather, it seems like Mayweather just now that he's not fighting anymore, he doesn't have quite the same pull that he had. Like remember De La Hoya back in the 2000s with HBO, he could tell them, listen, if you don't put my fighters here, I'm not fighting for you. Mayweather was the same thing, but now that he's no longer active, all of a sudden it seems like he doesn't have the pull to get the decision to go his fighter's way. This is a real interesting development. I don't know. I mean, the reason why I don't think Badu Jack could manhandle Stevenson is because Stevenson's not the type of guy that's going to be manhandled. I mean, did you see? Like I said last night, the guy's built like a truck. He's shorter, but he's so fucking wide. And you saw when he was fresh and he was launching those body shots, he was moving. Badu Jack.
Or he looked like over 200 for sure. Like that's how he looked. Maybe I'm over exaggerating.
He was 184. Jack was 187, I believe.
Yeah, he looked. No, it is. Stevenson's upper body is a lot bigger than his legs. He's one of those guys. Like if you saw his thighs, they don't match his upper body.
Exactly.
And then you got guys like Inguai who has big ass thighs, and you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. A lot of weight's hidden sometimes under those trunks.
All right, now by the way, I gotta say something because we have to go, but I just want to say something to Lopez. Lopez, there was this whole thing with you, the drama. They say never to bring up the past, but I gotta do it here because there was a lot of factors involved with you not being on. Just the same. I think that the main complaint that people had was that you would drone on and on and on. I gotta ask. People were saying, "Let's bring him back, bring him back." You know, I had a lot of people. We also had somebody whispering in our ear, putting undue pressure on us to have this fucking vote. So where do we stand? BDA, boxing, Bucho, the whole family, and you. I mean, is there any bad blood?
I talk boxing with anybody who can talk it. That's been my policy since day one. I talk with anybody who can talk it.
The problem is we always go back to Stevenson and his standards.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know what I mean? That's the truth, man. We always go back to Stevenson and his standards. Then he contradicts his standards.
I hope people can show what he showed last night. Resolve, like through bullshit. Like if Kovalev could have fought through what he went through, he would have 3 belts still today, and not just be chasing, what he used to have. I wish fighters would have that, bro. Like that shit, they could have packed up and quit, bro. End of story.
All right. Well, listen.
I was one of the people that was like, say, yeah, bring like place back on because, like I said, if you just talk sense, man, you don't like get all ruffled up. Then the guy can talk some sense, to be honest.
Well, Cameron, let me tell you something. There's every time you do a show like this, you got people giving you their opinion. I'm just gonna say that there's people that gave us their opinion, and it's the same people that are now giving. I believe, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's people whispering in your ear as well, trying to get you all riled up. So I'm just saying, watch out for what goes on there.
I don't listen to anybody, man.
All right. Well, I'm just saying.
Let me address. Can I address that one real quick thing? He just said Kovalev shouldn't have quit. Now let me address that. How could Baby Stevenson might have quit too if one of those low blows? And I already said Jack was targeting his nuts. No questions asked. What happens if the ref jumped in and stopped the fight on one of those low blows? Because that's what Kovalev didn't quit. His the fight was stopped on a low blow.
Yeah, you could have that
point. The guy quit. But it's not a point. It was a low blow. There's no question. It was a low blow.
Yeah, but I'm just going to make this point to you. He did get wobbled by a right hand. Like the right hand wobbled him, and he was ready. At that point, he was just, okay, I'm open for whatever. And I can also say this. They both got hit in the nuts. One man stood up, touched the shit, and kept a poker face. Other man said, yo, save me. And you can't do that. You got to have that kind of resolve, bro. You got to just say.
Wait, was Stevenson hurt like Kovalev was with that right hand? Was Stevenson hurt? Was Stevenson hurt the same way Kovalev was hurt with that right hand?
That's the Stevenson's credit. Badu Jack is a bigger puncher than Andre Ward.
Nah.
He is.
He wasn't hurt. I don't give a shit.
Jack ins careers and Ward doesn't, bro.
He wasn't hurt the same way. He was not hurt. He wasn't hurt the same way as Kovalev was.
Yes,
that's a fact. Look at that big ass fucking. It was a sledgehammer, man.
You just gave Stevenson credit onto the balls. There was a difference. Andre Ward was taking. He was digging. Bruh. He was digging. Yeah,
absolutely.
He wasn't doing what Badu Jack was doing. Badu Jack was being sneaky. He was like, "All right, fuck it. You're getting a little too, strong." Boom, the referee ain't looking. He was doing it. He didn't care if the referee saw it.
It's like a Hopkins low blow.
Man, Badu Jack was throwing straight right hands from range at the nuts.
Now, did you say Kovalev looked at the ref? That's what you're supposed to do when you catch one in the nuts. You look at the ref like to get his attention. Dude, he just nutted me. Did you see that? That's a reaction. I fought enough. I fought enough in the ring. When you get caught in the nuts and the ref is literally to your left, you look at him like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, you complain.
That's what
Let's use this fact. Let's use this fact. Both men got hit in the nuts. One came out a winner. One came out getting called a quitter. All right.
You want to simplify it like that?
That's simple as that.
So no context.
And let me make this point. If Stevenson goes
just because you're calling him a quitter.
It's just not me. But let me say this: if Stevenson would have found himself in that same position and got hit in the nuts, sitting on the ropes, it'd be different people that say, "Oh, foul for Kovalev." That's what that quitter gets for Stevenson. So I'm not going to do it.
It's kind of hard to quit or do what those other things Kovalev do when you're holding on for dear life.
Hey, that's what you do when you hurt. Maybe Kovalev.
Okay, all right, good. Listen, all right, this is right here. Listen, BDA, peace, man. I just fuck.
You gotta come down. You both. Hold on. Please let me say something. 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 Please, I gotta say something here. Please. Jeez, Luis. Lopez, I think you can see why people didn't want. Every time you come in here, it turns into a fucking screaming match, and then nobody enjoys the show. First of all, just because we gotta go. But Lopez, you've said it time and time again. Context matters. Now, all of a sudden, in this case, it doesn't matter. So we'll just leave it at that, all right? I mean, this is just getting ridiculous, this whole conversation, all right? So listen, I want to thank everybody that showed up here, all right? Who left already? I want to thank the people that left. Oh, shit. Oh, people fell already. All right, so
pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
It fell off.
They fell off. All right, so I want to thank Trap for being on. I want to thank Pavel. I want to thank Cameron. I want to thank Stu, who left, I think 2 hours ago, or dropped off, Recognize the Matrix. I want to thank Boxing Style was here earlier as well. I want to thank Lopez for coming in and saying hello. I want to thank, who else was here? Precise Puncher, Jimmy, Boxing Junkie, and Butcher, who am I forgetting? I don't want to forget anybody. Or Cameron, yeah, go ahead. Help me out here. I think that's it.
Stu's the only one that dropped off, I think, earlier in the show.
All right, so anyway.
I got dropped, so that's why I just came back to say good night.
Well, we're about to end the show.
Have a good evening. Everybody safe.
Yeah, you too, Jim. Thanks for being on. I want to thank Kyle, who donated too. And his message to everybody was, please let BDA talk. I don't know what it is about this fucking connection. You guys can't hear me people hear me loud and clear on the YouTube stream, but when it comes to Hangout, if somebody talks over me, it really fucks up the connection.
Do you know what, man? I noticed that when I was watching the show about the other day. Like sometimes, like I hear you playing like audio tracks, like the soundboard in the background on here. You can't hear it. When you listen to the YouTube stream, you can hear it perfectly. It's a bit weird.
All right, yeah, I don't know.
I hear you good. I just wanted to say, BDA, I hear you loud and clear. Probably the best. Isn't that weird?
That's bizarre. And if anybody should be heard from more here, it's me, BDA, because I get it right all the time. No, I'm kidding. Listen, I want to thank the Patreon people. Who was it? Greg? No, Steven Skillrose. We haven't updated the list, but he donated. So thanks to Steven Skillrose. Thanks to Kyle too on the super chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this show. Don't forget to also subscribe to Spreaker if you want to download the episodes. Check out. We're gonna put the links to everybody's channels here in the description. So check out their channels. Don't forget, again, like I said, like, subscribe, and I think that's about it, right, Bucho? I think we're on this. And now you guys,
yeah, pretty much it.
All right, now I'm going to thank everybody in the chat room. So everybody in the Hangout, again, thanks for jumping in. If you want to jump off now, just gonna say goodbye to everybody in the chat room. Give a little bit of a shout out.
Yeah, I just want to say appreciate you having me on. Appreciate everybody on the panel.
Absolutely.
It's cool if we agree to disagree on different subjects, but just the conversation pushes boxing forward. But thanks to everybody.
Absolutely. Be safe, brother. Take care.
Yeah, and come back, Trap. Come back anytime, man. We'll make space for you.
Over, bro.
And by the way, we have to remind people that we only have today. We had a full house. At some point there was 10 people in there, and I think the Hangout limit is 10 people. And it should be that limit, because otherwise it gets pretty hard to moderate this whole thing, and it turns into.
I think it should be less than 10.
Well, no, actually, I like 10.
It gets out of hand, man. It gets out of hand. I think sometimes.
Well, listen, sometimes it gets out of hand, but anyway, again, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. I want to thank everybody in the chat room. Overhand, See Me, Nicola Ferrari, The Fight Scout, Reese Mack, George M, Nicola Ferrari, Hawker Mustang, See Me, George M, Steven Skillrose again, Rotti Davis, Karan, Brett, Cachnello, everybody. You guys know who you are. You make this show pretty entertaining, even though today I got a little frustrated with the connection, but hey, that's from my end. Well, thank everybody in the chat room again. Champion Killer, Fight Scout, Rock Davis. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.